Wow. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our data analytics class. My name is Etuk, and I'll be the guide for today's class. In today's class, we're looking at a simple thing. We're looking at, in today's class, we're looking at the 5 common mistakes that I've seen as a data analyst. And on behalf of my team and I want to say welcome and thank you for being part of this class. As our custom is, we want to start by welcoming everybody. Please, if you're in class, can you just wave? And if you can hear me, just write loud and clear. So I'll know that you can hear me and we have 1, 2, 3 persons in class so that we can start. So if you're in class, please just wave. Let's know you're in class. And if you can hear me, please just say loud and clear. You can also introduce yourself. Just mention your name so that we get going. The class is on. Okay, Ruth Ikiriko, you're welcome. Thanks for being the first person in class today. Henrietta, you're welcome, loud and clear. Okay, so thank you. I think I would use these 2 feedbacks to start the class. Now, for some of us, we'll be watching this course maybe days, months, years later. Now, we do like a live class where we carry along everybody. So it's not just a pre-recorded video, it's a live class. We carry everybody along, we ask questions and we interact through the class. So while watching this video, you can also put it on replay, you can see the comments, you can see the answers to the questions and the interactive part of the class. Now, for this class also, the data set for the class is in the comment section. So you can always go to the comment section and you see the practice files to start with. Okay, so with these persons in class, I'll start the class immediately. The idea of today's class is it's to be a 1-hour class, and I think that is the average time we've been using for our classes. And I'll get straight to my Excel sheet. And while that is loading, I want to use this opportunity to say Happy New Year. This is our first class for the month of January and for the year 2024. I wish all of us an interesting year, a year filled with a lot of good experiences. Okay, now back to the class. Today we're looking at 5 common mistakes data analysts make and how to avoid them. And why I want to take this course, which is the most important thing, is I work as a consultant to a lot of companies, both in Lagos and in Port Harcourt, and both companies outside Nigeria. And then I'm also a guest reviewer. What that means is when companies, sometimes they invite me to come see their team do their presentation. So I get to sit in and then make suggestions and corrections and also learn. And being part of different interview panels, I've seen cases where people come in and they get the job and they don't get the job because of simple presentation and some things that you do and they don't do well. And then as a coach, I'm an instructor too. I handle both physical and online classes, and I have courses too on data analysts. So looking at bringing this wealth of experience that I have, when I bring it to related to data analytics and I see what people do in instances like this, I have seen a lot of mistakes that if these mistakes they are avoided, it will increase the chances of anybody making these presentations. Then also, I've also seen that in the data analytics community, I've seen some minor mistakes too where people make, and I'll give you a quick instance before we get deep into the course, that a data analyst should, for example, let me use a tool called Excel. Now, there's a way a data analyst would make a presentation, and an Excel user can make that same presentation. So instead of we focusing on just distribution of data, maybe they gave us the data and the report now in the data is, okay, this is the person with the highest sales, this is the person with the lowest sales, this person with the lowest sales should be fired, the person with the highest sales should be promoted and all that. That is one level of presentation. And that, to an extent, and a basic Excel user can do that. But a data analyst should go way beyond that. Now, a data analyst should be able to understand business and understand that business run on systems. So instead of just looking at, okay, who made the highest sales and who did not make the highest sales, we can get to understand why these things happen. Now, from this, when we understand why these things happen, can we see a trend? Then can we use that trend to build a system for the business? So at that point, the business owner has more value beyond just an Excel user or a Power BI user or a SQL user. So part of the things I will do in today's class is I'll show us how to do all these things. And at the end of the class, towards topic number 4, I'll show us how to fine-tune what is called our presentation. So when you're making presentation to a corporate, to a business executive, how do you make the presentation? So that's one of the things I will correct. So let's look at the outline for today. So basically, there are 5 mistakes I want to talk about. There are more than 5, but for today, being that one, it's a live class, we have limited time, and it's an open class, I'll just take the 5 common ones I have seen. So the first one that we will look at is the error that I call the error of equal distribution. Now, most times when data analysts are asked to work on a data set and give a report, when the data is not equally distributed and you want to look at the rate or the performance, we can't analyze them equally. So that is one error that I want us to talk about. Number 2 is the error of the choice of charts. Then number 3, how do you structure your dashboard? Then before we get to number 4, also tell us that this course, midway through the course, I have a course that I have built, an advanced course, and I'll just mention it. So those that are interested can also buy the course. Interestingly, the data from that course is what will also form the basis of today's discussion. Then number 4, we'll also look at how to do presentation. You have finished your analysis and you want to make presentation to a business executive or a board. How do you format the presentation? Then number 5, we'll look at the issue of focusing on skill, not the tool. Okay, so with that in mind, let's start. Interestingly, one of the data sets that I will use in today's class is a data set I used for a client some few months back. The client is not in Nigeria, so that one is not an issue. And we mixed, I changed everything in the data, from the type of product to their location to the number of staff that they have. I removed a lot of things, so it's untraceable. That's number 1. Then number 2, I also spoke with the business owner that this is what I want to do with the data set, and he said, go ahead. So there's no way you can link it to them. And then 2, I have that freedom to also use this data set for the discussion. So interestingly, they asked me to do simple, just check the performance of the salespeople. But by the end of the presentation, I told them that you don't need to, the performance of the salespeople is not what is driving the business. It's not the reason for why they had a certain result at a certain time. But instead, on studying the business, I came up with a system. And interestingly, I have a retainership with them just because of that suggestion, that they should not just focus on they should not just focus on the performance of 1 or 2 persons, but looking at this performance within the period, can they use that to build a system? So that's what we're looking at. So we'll start with the first one. Before I start with the first one, let me be very clear because we're hitting the ground running hard. Please, if you can hear me, just wave. Let me use that 1 minute to welcome everybody. If you can hear me, just wave so that I know that I can continue. Just wave or just say continue. Mr. Austin, you're welcome. Mr. Ibrahim Mohammed, you're welcome. Charity Bakari, you're welcome. Okuliko John, Defi and Reta, you're all welcome. Please, if you can hear me and if the screen is clear, please, can you just wave? Okay, Mr. Suleiman, thumbs up means reasons that teams are performing and some are not. Okay, so can we proceed? I want to assume that we can all hear me. Continue. Okay, Miss Valentine said continue. Okoli said continue. Thank you for this feedback. Okay, so let's proceed now. Let's get into it. Let's get into item number 1. The first thing in our list today. Now, the first one is the error of equal distribution. Now, we have discovered how to sidestep this common pitfall and ensure accurate data interpretation. My first error I want to talk about is that when making your presentation, stop interpreting your analysis based on distribution when the value are not equal. And I will use a common data set that is known very well, the IBM HRO data set. It's on LinkedIn, it's on YouTube. A lot of persons have done video tutorials on it. A lot of persons have done analysis on it. Some of them correct, some not correct. But I'll use that as an example, and then I'll use a sales data set too as an example. But let me make us understand this very well. If we have two staff, let's say staff A, we gave staff A 10 products and the staff sells 2, and we gave staff B 100 products and the staff sells 10. Of these two staff, who will you say is performing better? Please, can we just give our answers in the comment section? We have two staff. Staff A, we gave him 10, and out of this 10, he was able to sell 2. And we gave staff B 100 clients, and out of these 100, he was able to sell 10. Please, which of these staff, in terms of performance, is performing better? Or how will you present these findings to this business owner? How will you report this? Please share your answers in the comment section. I'm waiting for that quickly. How will you report this? Please share your answers in the comment section. Okay. Musa says staff A sells better. Victory says staff B. Okay. Yes, who again? I need 2 more, then we'll proceed. Chidozie said staff A, and 1 more. Okay, John says staff A. Okay, so thank you very much for the feedback. Now, from this analysis, we can see that if we're just reporting distribution, we'll say staff B is performing better because of 10. But look at it on a scale. Staff A is performing better. Because if staff A out of 10 is able to sell 2, and B out of 100 is able to sell 10, now the values are not equal. One is 10, one is 100. So in reporting this type of data, which is one of the first errors that I've seen a lot of persons do, is to create equality, meaning we can take percentage, for example, and we make both of them in percentage, report both of them as per percentage. Now, when we do that, we'll see that staff A has a 20% return conversion rate, then staff B has a 10% conversion rate. So that means staff A is performing better. It also goes that if we give staff A 100 products, like we gave staff B, likely staff A will also sell 20. So that is one first error. Now, to make this a little practical, let's do this. This data set, it's included in the description section. You can get it from the Kaggle website. I've added the link here. I'll drop this entire file after this class in the description section, so you can always download it and practice it. Now, this data already is on Kaggle, so I downloaded it from Kaggle. This is the link. So let me go to the data, and then let's take a sample case. Let's bring up the data and take a sample case. Now, this is the data set, and they want us to check the performance per department. Now, this data is a HRO data, and they're working on attrition, meaning the number of people that leave the business for any reason. A lot of us have worked on this data set. But let me show us what, when we give this data set, maybe in an interview and for people to work with, I'll show us what they do and what the correction is. Now, let's quickly create a pivot table from this data. I just click on a cell, want to analyze the data, and I go to inserts, and I go to pivot table. And I just click this, add this to data model. Do not use it, but just click it, and I say, okay. Now, when we create this pivot table, we want to check attrition by department. So if we bring in departments here, and we bring the employee count, we have this. And then if we bring the attrition, okay, for those that are joining us for the first time, attrition means the number of people that leave a business for any reason. When attrition is yes, means the persons they have left. Attrition is no, means the persons they are still working. And they want a report on this particular data. Now, what most persons do, which I'm trying to show to us now, in terms of this particular data set, is they do this. They come to this point and they click on, now we have reduced, this is a sample of a data model. We have created a model from that data. And they go to pivot table, and they create a pivot table like this. Let me make this table neat. Let's just quickly remove the vertical axis. Let's remove the grid lines, and let's hide the buttons. And then let's add data labels. Okay. Now, I've seen a lot of persons report this data this way. So I've seen a lot of persons report this data this way. This is not really correct, because now the data from this, the assumption is more persons. We have a higher attrition in the in the research and development department, and we have the next one is 92 in the sales department and 12 in the human resource department. Now, in doing this, you're just reporting distribution. This is something a basic Excel user can do, but a data analyst must be able to tell the business owner, now this is the distribution, this is what happened, but this is what will likely happen when we talk about the rates. When you convert this now to an equal ratio, let's convert this data to an equal ratio of 100%. I Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and I come down and I Control V. Now, if I click on a cell, if we check the distribution now, for human resource is 63, for research and development is 961, for sales is 466. I will use percentage, for example, 100, to convert all this to 100%, so that we'll see the actual distribution, the actual data. So if I click on any of these cells, so I want to say, show me for each row, this is a row, and this is a row. So I want to convert the data to a percentage of row total. So I click on this and I say show value as, and I say percentage of row total. Now you can see now that what we have now, the data sets, they have been arranged to an equal number. So this is the equality we're talking about. Now, if we report this data in a chart, if I bring this second chart, and we clean the chart also, let's take off the axis, let's take off the grid line, let's take off the hide fill, and then let's bring in the data labels. Now you can see the actual reality of what is happening in the business. From this, we can see that when sales has the highest, which is 20.6%, followed by human resource, which is 19, then research and development, which is 13. Now, in analyzing and in presenting this data to this business, is to make them understand that going forward, that the probability of people leaving the business, we have a higher probability in the sales department. That is where they should pay more attention. That is where the issue, the attrition, is actually happening. Okay, I hope we understand that. Let me quickly go to the group and wait for us to ask questions. Okay, so yes, did we understand the first one before we move to the second one? Any question? Reporting in Njedika said, reporting in percentage puts both on same scale for accurate comparison. Yes, Njedika, you're correct, and that is what we're working on. Okay. So please, if you have worked on this particular data, like I said, it's a lot of persons have it as their portfolio project. Please go back and make this correction. Report the data correctly. So that is one instance. I will give a second. Any question? Okay, no question. I will give a second example. Now, the second example I want to give is the sales data. Now, interestingly, this is the data set, like I told us, in the projects, the course I have built. I just finished building an advanced course. I'll talk about the course later, but this is the sample data set I told us in the opening. So in this sample data set, we also have a discussion. We want to check the performance of the marketers. Now, in this data set, they have branches in 2 states. Is a real estate company, and they have 3 products, and they have 6 marketers, and they want to evaluate performance. That is the conversion rate of the sales staff. So for each sales staff, they are given numbers, customers to follow up on, and they want to check who is able to sell. So this is the status, the column. So for those that paid means yes, the customer bought. Not paid means the customer is yet to buy. So they want to evaluate performance for the month of August in the business. So the same thing too. Let's quickly click on this, go to insert, go to pivot table, and then we create a pivot table, and we bring the serial number to values. We bring the salespersons to rows. So on then we bring the status, whether the customer bought or they did not buy. So on I some few weeks ago, I gave this as a challenge on Facebook, and I think everybody that took part in that challenge, I gave them access to my course for free. And some persons did something like this and submitted the data this way. I click on this, I go to pivot analyze, I go to pivot charts, and this is how they reported the data. Now in the analysis, because I asked them to also submit their findings of the data, they should share the insights they got from the data. So let me quickly clean this chart, okay, and take off the grid lines and bring up the, yeah. So most persons, when they submitted this data, the report was the best performing person is Fumi. So this is paid. So Fumi is the best performing person, followed by Chioma, and followed by Chioma, then followed by Chukudi, down. The last person is Ahmed. So in my discussion with them, I told them that this is not actually correct, because now this distribution is not equal. So what we did, copy this and then paste here the same way. So we right click and then we say show it as a percentage of row total. So when we show it as a percentage of row total, you can see everything is equal to 100. Now when we chart this, we create this in a chart. Now we can see the actual distribution, the correct performance of each person. In this particular case, we're looking at the discussion was to look at the conversion rate, data labels, and if we hide this. Now you will agree with me, when we do this, you can see that Ngozi is actually the person with the highest performance. Ngozi had 71%. Fumi had 57%, followed by Chukudi and Chioma, then Olumide, and then Ahmed, excuse me. So now this is what we mean equality. So when we are giving a data when the distribution is not equal, and then you're asked to check performance and evaluate, please always be conscious of bringing up this discussion of equality. Okay, so that's discussion number 1. I want to switch to discussion number 2. Discussion number 2 is the choice of charts. Okay, before going to the choice of charts, please, 1 minute question. I will take just 2 questions, then we proceed. If the first discussion was clear enough, let me just get your feedback that it's clear, we can proceed. Just type proceed, and then we can go on. Okay, Ruth said we should proceed. So we move on to discussion number 2. Ruth, thank you. Mara, thank you. Okay, so having that 2, I'll proceed. Now, discussion number 2 is the choice of charts. Master the art of selecting the right chart for impactful data visualization. So I've seen a lot of persons. Fine, we have gone through the first one, which is the equality. Now, when they come to present the data, they present the data in a way that it is not really interesting to look at. Now, 3 common things I have seen in the choice of chart. 1 is the choice of chart itself. What type of chart do you use per time? Then 2 is how do you present the information? Which chart will help you present the information in a way that a business executive will understand? When I say business executive, later I'll tell us about when we talk about presentation, business executive. These people, they don't have time. They don't have like anything that is complex. They just want anything, they will just say yes or no. Anything that will help them take a decision fast. So which charts will help them understand the information better? Then number 3, I want to talk about this thing called 3D charts. Why I'm laughing or smiling is because I've talked about it a lot, even in my class. I'll say nobody should use 3D chart. They will still use 3D chart. So I want to publicly, openly address this issue of 3D chart. So let's start with the first chart, with the first one, which is the choice of charts. Now, there are rules when it comes to charts. Because of this class today, later I'll tell us how we can have more details. But just for this class, I want to talk about pie chart, for example. For example, if you're using pie charts, like I said, there are rules for each chart. I will give two. Whenever you're talking about trend, you discover that line chart is best. For example, when you talk about Forex, that's why you see the line chart. When you talk about representing data using pie chart, it's advisable that immediately the data points, there are more than 6. Don't use a pie chart. If the difference, the margin between the data points, if it's too tight, don't use a pie chart. A pie chart is good when the data points are 6 or less, and then you have a wide margin between each chart. So let's take an example again. We will use this same data. This time we'll look at job role. So this is the data set we're working with. Let's create another pivot. We want to look at job role, the distribution when it comes to job role. And we have we create a pivot table. And let's go to job role. We bring in job role. We bring in job role, and then we just look at employee counts. This case, let's not filter so that we can be a bit fast. Let's not say attrition, no attrition. Let's just go straight to it. Now, this data set, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Since we have 9, it is not advisable to use a pie chart in this case. Let me show us. If we click on this and then we bring in a chart and we bring in a pie chart, you can see what is happening here, that it's difficult to tell what is happening in the charts. As in the points, there are too many for a pie chart. Another instance, again, I will give is this same chart. This other second one I want to give is not, it's okay, but I will advise you when you have this, now see the second one. Do you get? Yes, it's a bit okay, but now you see I'm bending my head. That's what happens when the business executives, now they're trying to read this data, they will be doing this. When you have a data set, when this happens, I will advise you, one, reduce this point. Go back to Power Query and reduce these labels. For example, human resource, you can simply type HR. Are we together? Sales, you can simply type SL. Marketing, you can type MRK. Are we together? So that way you have these points fitted correctly. One option. The second option is you can use a different chart. Now, this data set will appear better if you use a bar chart. Are we together? So you can see that it's the same data, but when it comes to presentation, it's better if you present this data this way. Let me quickly clean this. I'm a bit conscious when I'm designing charts. I love charts to look really clean. So chart title, the legend is just one, we take it off. The grid line is just one, we take it off. We add data labels, and then we remove the buttons. Okay, so when we have it like this, it looks better and it looks presentable. So be conscious of your choice of charts. Know that not all charts, you can't use all charts in all these instances when you're building when you're making your presentation. So that is one case. Now the second case is, now we want to look at the case of how do you present information, and we'll use this data set as an example. The sales data set in the second data, where the client is interested in the conversion rate. So they have 6 salespersons, and they want to see their conversion rates. They want to see their individual performance. They want to see how many persons perform, and the conversion rate in this case, we know that the average is 50, assume, and which is also correct, 50. So they want to see the performance with respect to this. Now, if we come to this point and we present this data this way, let me click here. Don't worry about the number of pivot tables, it's just a discussion class. So let's bring the salesperson, and then let's bring the serial number, and let's bring the status. Okay, so the customers, they want to see the conversion rate. Let's convert this first to percentage of row total. So this is the conversion rate. This is where the interest is. Okay, so quickly let's extract this This is equal to, the name of this cell is A5, and we drag it down. Okay, this cell here is C4, and we drag it down. Okay, good. We just change this to percentage. Format cells, change this to percentage, 1 decimal place. Okay, so if we present this now using, we go to insert. This one now is extracted from the pivot table. So we use a normal table, we use a normal chart. If we go and we present it this way, so this is one option, which a lot of persons do. To an extent, it's okay, but completely is not correct. Why I say it's not correct? Why I say it's not correct? Because now it's showing us the performance of each person. For example, this person made 22, this person made 57, this person made 71. But you can make it better, whereby just one glance, the business owner will know those that performed above average and below average. That's where the skill of a data analyst comes to play. So we can simply do this. Let me copy this data. I want to use a copy of this data here. So I come to this point and I say the average now is 15. So I type here the average, this is the average performance. So anybody that is above 50, definitely to be positive. Any person below 50 to be negative. So simply I want to do the person's performance minus the average. So this is equal to the person's performance minus the average. And I press F4 to lock that key, and I press take it down. So I drag this to do the same for everybody, and we convert this to just 1 decimal place. Okay, good. So if we do a chart now using this, I copy this and this one, and I create a chart. Insert. Good. Now you see notice the second chart. Now the second chart, we have 2 persons above average, which is Chioma, which is Ngozi and Fumi, the rest below average. We're still reporting performance, but easily the business owner can know who is performing per time. Now let's fine tune this to look really professional. So we don't need the vertical axis. After this one, I'll take your questions. Please, 1 minute. We don't need the chart title. We don't need the grid lines. And this axis here, so we'll do 2 things very fast. This axis, we want to bring this axis down. And we want to change these colors, and we want to add the data labels. Okay, if we click add data labels now, check, it's showing us 21 and 7, 21 and 7, which is the value we used when we did the difference, but we want this original value to appear. So let's do something. Let's right click this and then go to format data label. Okay, so let's start in format data label. Now we'll click on in format data label. If we come to under the label options, we say value from cells. So if we click on value from cells, click value from cells, this box will pop up. We'll drag from here to here, and then we say okay. Then we'll uncheck the value here. Good. So we have the values. You can see we have the original values now. That's number 1. Number 2, we want the names to be down. So click on the names and then go to label. And then in the label position, just click low. Okay, we'll have it clean this way. The next, we want to work on these colors. So since we have some positive, some negative, click on the fill tool and then say invert if negative. So then go to solid, click on solid. Now you have 2 colors. So for the negative, we select it as red. For the positive, we select it as green. Good. Now, so see the difference. This is the point in the chart now. So with this, yes, we are reporting performance. But with this, we're reporting performance with respect to average performance. Now see the difference between the two. So that's the second thing I want us to understand about charts, your choice of charts. That when you're selecting charts, that as much as possible, when you're presenting information, as much as possible, it should be very, very extremely easy for the business owner to appreciate the information. Then the third one in the choice of chart is the use of 3D. Please, I will plead with you in any way I can kneel down to beg you. Please avoid the use of 3D charts. If there's any way I can tell you this simple truth, please avoid the use of 3D charts. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let me not use, can I use this? No. Simply 3D chart is, a lot of persons love to use 3D charts. Should I say I don't know why? Or let me say, yes, I know why, because it looks beautiful, but it distorts the information. That's the reason. Please avoid the use of 3D charts. So let's use products. Where is a product? Okay, let's use products by serial number. So some persons will come here and will do something like this, 3D charts. Yes, it looks beautiful, but it distorts the information. It is not giving us the correct reading. Allow Excel users and beginners to do this, but not experts. Check all the classic dashboards on Google or any platform. You will not see any professional use 3D charts. You will hardly see professionals use 3D charts. Please use simple 2D chart. It is better. Okay, as our custom is, I'll pause here before I go to the next discussion for questions. Okay, let me take our questions. Questions. Questions? Questions, questions, questions. Okay, I'm yet to do any course in this field, so permit my ignorance. I want to ask, does it mean any data you're analyzing as an analyst is presented to you by the organization? Okay, facial expression king, I did not really get your question. I'm yet to do any course in this field, so permit me, my girl, don't worry about that. It's okay, you can ask. I want to ask, does it mean any data you're analyzing as an analyst is presented to you by the organization? Okay, if I tend to understand you, now the job of a data analyst starts with the extraction of the data. Starts with, understanding the business problem, deciding what data set is needed, and extracting the data. By default, it is not the job of the data analyst to do data entry. Are we together? To answer your question, the organization will give you the data to work with. Some instances, when it is an open project, they will ask you to get the data. For example, a data that is online or in another platform, they can ask you to get it. But if it's an organization, let's say a car company, and they want you to analyze their data, they have a record of that, of their sales, for example, they will give you that record to work with. But when they don't have it, you can negotiate, discuss with them, then help them create the platform where they can get the data and then make it available to you. For example, let me give you a very local example. If they have systems and they can, maybe when somebody comes to buy, the system scans and takes note of the amounts, the product and the amounts, and what was paid and the quantity. Now, while that is happening in the front end and is printing out receipts for the clients, behind the scene, the system is creating a database of all this. So the data analysts, after this, it is not the data analyst now to sit in front of the customer and then collect the customer's detail. No, it's the customer service person. So when a person does that, the data is recorded, is stored. So the data analyst now gets that data. That is where the job of the data analyst starts. Okay, so Chidoze said so far so good. Chidoze, thank you. Mr. Austin Bain said, I use this kind of charts on YouTube and was wondering how it was created. Thank you, sir, for bringing this to our understanding. Oh, Mr. Austin, thank you very much. Mr. Colley said, this is awesome. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Colley, thank you. Okay, we are following. Okay, Mr. Austin, again. Okay, that's Mr. Austin. Okay, so yeah. That means we can continue to discussion number 3. So please, henceforth, you're working on a project, let there be a difference. Like we say in Nigeria, there should be a difference between car and motor. It's together. So when you present your work as a data analyst, it should be different from somebody that is just learning, or somebody that is just picked up the skill from just watching 1 or 2 videos. Okay, so let's go to discussion number 3. Now, discussion number 3 has to do with the structure of dashboard. Now, craft dashboard that tell a clear and compelling story, no more data overload. Now, when designing dashboards, there are some things I have seen, and I want to talk about 2 things in this particular instance. One, how you can structure your dashboard. One of the things you must be conscious of is, what is the most important information in my dashboard? Just one. No matter the dashboard you design, there is one information that is most important. One, that information must be clear. It's like the climax of a movie. Do you get that? Information must be very clear and is always on top. And I'll tell us why when we discuss further. So that's number 1. Then number 2, you must understand this thing called storyboard. A storyboard is a visual representation or sequence of illustrations, images, or drawings that outlines the flow of a story, concept, or process. So it's more like a movie. After scene 1, you see the sequence that scene 1 leads to scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and then the end. So there's a beginning, there's an event, there's a climax, and there is an end. But there is a sequence. So in the same way too, when building your dashboard, understand that there is that sequence and everything must flow. The third one is the movement of the eyes. We're working with business executives. So for me, I'm more conscious of the business executive than my team. When working in a project, yes, we work in a team. We have people, we're working together. But when we're presenting to the business executive. He who pays the piper determines the tune. So the business executive is our interest. Now, how do we present a technical data to a non-technical person? One of the ways is to understand the movement of the eyes, and we call it the Z movement. If you notice, whenever you're reading a book or you're going through a material, you go from the top and you go from the way I am seated now, from left to right, then you come down and then you go again. So it's more like a Z movement. So we always advise that the most important information in your dashboard should be somewhere on top, preferably at the top. So if you check this data set, I implemented that method in this one. I use the Z movement, where we go from here. This is the Z, the top of the Z. The data goes this way. So this is KPI. These are all KPIs. These are all KPIs in this data. So this is the chart. So the KPI starts, I want the business owner to look at the data this way. So from the most important information, which is the conversion rate for the entire team, 44.4, then it will go this way. How many prospects, how many sales, how many pending? It will now come down this way again. Check the performance of the team, the salespersons, the total number given and the total sales, and what is their conversion rate. Then it will now slide. This information is more important compared to this one. So that's why you have these 3 on this first line, then these 3 on the second line. You notice the structure. Here is our most important information. Here is our KPIs to assist this most important information. Here is also another set of KPI to assist this important information. Then the charts will align them. The first line, you have the most important. Then the second line, you now have the second ones that are not very important. So you must understand that structure, how to structure content. Okay, I also talked about I also mentioned number 4 in talking about this. So the structure, that means you group the information. What is important based on degree, based on relevance. So like I said, everything concerning the staff, the sales rep, you can see it is arranged here. Everything concerning KPI is arranged here. Everything concerning the name of the business and link to other pages is here. Then the first set of important charts here, and the second set of charts that are not very important. So that's what we mean by structure. Then the 5th one is the theme, the color. Now, there are 3 main things. You can use a dark, a light, or an image. In class, I always recommend to my students, for now, slow down on image. It's not a right or wrong thing. You can use it. But slow down. Why? A lot of persons that I've seen use image don't use it correctly. If you're using image, The image should not harm. Let me use that word harm. Permits me to use, should not harm the chart. Should not compete with the chart. You can only use image where you fade the image to a point where it will allow the chart to pop up, or you give the chart a background on top of the image so that the interest is not the background, it is the chart. So for now, I always recommend a dark or a light background. As you progress, you can add more colors and other things. But for example, this is a dark background chart. Then the second part too, what are the components? What and what should I include in my dashboard? There are lots of things. There are about 10 or so, but in this class, I'll just take 5. Number one thing that must be in a dashboard, there must be a KPI. So the KPI can be more than 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a KPI, 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 and this is also a KPI. So KPI, it stands for Key Performance Indicator. Numbers, it must be number, it must be quantifiable. So they summarize the information, and business owners, they are always working with numbers. The Igbo brothers, but somebody said if you tell somebody 1 + 1, he may not understand, but if you say 1 naira + 1 naira, he will understand. So the numbers come in very well. They come in very easy to flow with. The second one is the header. Now the header part is this. So the header is made up of the brand. This is the logo, the name of the company, then the title of the dashboard, Sales Performance Analysis Dashboard, the period, August 2023, and number 3 is the chart. So this, we have all the charts here. The number 4 is the filter. The filter, we also call them slicers in Excel. So this, we have filter here, filter here, filter here, filter here. They help us to go deep into the data. Then number 5 is link to other pages. So this, in this particular chart, we have this as links. If you click to take you to other pages, for example, it will take you to the PowerPoint presentation, it will take you to the recommendation page, it will take you to the statistics page, it will take you to the data. So these are all links. Some persons love to put their recommendation on the same sheet with the dashboard. It's optional. For me, I prefer recommendation should be on a separate sheet. Okay, so let me pause here quickly for questions before we get to the last 2 sections. I'm checking my time and I'm trying to be fast so that we can complete the 5 before we go. Okay, please, any question quickly? Okay, Rosonabi, if I got the pronunciation, just joining for the first time. Thank you, you're welcome. Please also remember to hit the subscribe button before you leave so that our classes, you get information. For those that are not aware, every Sunday by 7 p.m. we have these live classes where I talk to data analysts globally, telling us what and how we can improve what we're doing. Okay, you're welcome. And then the next question, can we use another chart? Okay, Mr. Jeremiah said, can we use another chart to represent this particular data aside the pie chart? We can use other charts. I use pie charts just as an example. Okay, and she does this. Which tool did you use for the? Please, what tool did you use for the dashboard, Mr. Chide? This is Excel. This is Excel, and like we normally recommend, please use Excel 2021. If you're a data analyst and your Excel is 2016, 2013, it is a taboo to use 2007 Excel. So please don't use 2007, then 10, 13, 16, up to 16 as a data analyst, please avoid it. The minimum you can use is 19. 21 gives you, some of the formulas will not work, the new formulas will not work in 2019, so that's why we recommend 2021. So this is Excel 2021. Okay, now let's proceed. The next part in our discussion is, okay, yeah. So I want to quickly mention that I have this course. It's an advanced course. I'll quickly take you through the course. But the idea is, I did the first course I did, I used HRO data and I made it basic, so for beginners. So if you're new to data analytics, I'll show us the link where you can get to that course. Then this other second course is also for beginners, but some of the things we took it a step further where we added some things that people that are advanced will really enjoy. So this one is the sales data, is a real data. I actually use this data to get a retainership job. But like I said, I mixed everything. There's no way you can trace it. And the business owner is also aware that I'm using this data. Now, what we did is we changed everything. Like I said, the business is a remote job. So the business is not in Nigeria, number one. Two, the product is not even the same. The location, if you check, I use Lagos and Port Harcourt because these are two areas where I function in. So it has nothing to do with the business. The product is not real estate, but we use real estate. They have about 8 staff. Here we reduce it to 6. And there are other columns of data that we took off. We just reduced to a minimum, a small number, and the data set here, we just scanned out 225 of the total set. So I use this to teach us a lot of things. Some of the corrections I've made, I also handle them in this class. For example, in this particular course, I covered what is called documentation and dashboard design. I've seen a lot of dashboard, and I can tell you that when it comes to dashboard, I have 1 or 2 things you need to learn. So I covered dashboard design, I covered documentation, to the extent that I also talked about LinkedIn optimization, how you can build yourself in that area. And we covered up to presentation techniques. In presentation techniques, I'll show us the video now of what you can do with presentation. I think that's topic number 4. That's what we're getting to now. And that presentation has to do with this particular work also. So we covered it in depth in this particular course. Then we talked about portfolio, how to set up your portfolio or your project portfolio. As a data analyst, you can't limit yourself with CV, because after sending your CV, the interview is normally in 2 stages. The first part is the written, oral, and all that. The second part is the practical part, and it's mostly driven by your project, your portfolio, where they'll say, show us what you have done, and then they will ask you questions based on that particular project. They want to see what you have done. So you must know how to set up a portfolio. If you're a data analyst and you only have your CV, I'm telling you, you're not doing yourself really good. You must have a portfolio. And if you're a data analyst, you're not on LinkedIn, you're not really doing yourself much good. And even if you're on LinkedIn and you're not posting, you're not interacting, you're also not doing yourself good. So let me just quickly show us this particular work before we proceed. Just 1 minute. I'll be very fast with it. Okay, so this is the finished work. So this is what you will build by the end of the course. Now, this is the data set we're talking about. The conversion rate for the month of August is 44.4. That means the performance was low. And if we check through, if we slice the data through Ahmed, we'll see that Ahmed had the lowest conversion rate, which is 22. Ahmed had the lowest conversion rate, which is 22.7. Normally, a data analyst, an entry-level data analyst will say, okay, Ahmed should be fired because he had the lowest performance. But when you check through this data, which is what the next topic we want to talk about now, presentation, how do you present data to business executives? You discover that Ahmed's evaluating performance based on this stuff is not very correct. And I did that in my presentation. That's one of the things I did to the business, and they loved, and they gave me the retainership. And I'll share with us now. Now, Ahmed's performance, come to this point, if you check, Ahmed's performance is a function of the gender. So Ahmed did not perform very well because he was if you check the 22 numbers that he was given to follow up on, none of them, there's no male, they are all females. And if we check through the data, the rate at which male buy is higher compared to the rate at which female buy. So if we go through Chioma, we'll see that Chioma, we can see the percentage in Chioma, we can see the percentage in Chukwudi, in Fumi, and then Ngozi that did the highest performance, and then Olumide. Then if we slice the data through, now if we come to this point, so this is why Ahmed did not perform very well. It's not because of Ahmed is bad, that's one thing I told them, but it's because of this. Now if you check for every, if we look at this percentage very well, this 72 means to an extent for every 10 customers, every 10 male customers given to the salesperson to follow up, the probability that a male will buy is 7, but the probability that a female will buy is around 2 or 3. That means male is directly proportional to sales. And why Ahmed did not sell is because of the number of males. And we did the same thing too. We discovered that those that went for inspection, they have a higher chance of buying. And then those that asked for residential, those that are interested in residential, they have the highest chance of buying. And one of the ways you can do when we slice through residential, if you check everybody here, the performance of everybody is on positive. If you slice through industrial, the performance, there's no performance. Nobody out of the 22 persons that were interested in, that came in as industrial, not even one. But then when it comes to commercial, you can see still low and some high. So the interest is, what are the factors that will lead to a complete positive performance? So we can see one of them is residential. We can see one of them, if we turn off this residential now, quickly, I'll go back to the course. Please just give me 1 minute. If we come to male, you discover that male, the performance is positive, but when you slice it through female, you can see the performance, a lot of persons negative. So this is one of the ways to interpret data. So I took time in this course to work on this. Then I also did something in this course. This is the first time I'm introducing the statistical part of a dashboard. There are simple ways to make your customers understand to present your data. So we discovered that we had relationship between sales and certain factors. So we use correlation to determine that and just made it in a simple chart that the clients can see and understand. Then this is where we have the recommendation, all detailed. So it's from this recommendation, we'll then extract to the other part. Then you see the chart, it's a complete course. So if you're interested in the course, I'll just drop the link. I want to go back to the class so that we'll continue. If you're interested in the course, I'll drop the link in the section. You can just look at it. It's on promo for now, so you can look at it and then place the order. It's on promo. The course is on pre-order presently, and the promo is I think between now and the 24th. The course is for 10,000, but the promo says 7.5. So you can click the link and then get the course. It's optional. If you don't want, you can leave it, but I will encourage you to get that course. So let's go back to our discussion. Let's go back to our class. Thank you for your patience for allowing me to do that. That's one of the ways we keep the system going. Okay, so we're into item number 4. Okay, these other ones, this is my first course. You can see a lot of persons and their feedbacks and their reviews and all that. So number 4, which is the key of today's discussion, is the presentation format. Okay, please, I'm seeing some discussions in the comment section. Let me attend to them for 1 minute. Please, what determines, okay. So the aspect of interpreting, please, somebody said, so in the aspect of interpreting our data, is it advisable to interpret the data above the chart or below the chart? Interpret the data. That means in presenting if I understand it very well, that's talking about your reports now, your presentation. I'll show us, we're coming to reports. I will advise you, your Excel dashboard should be simply dashboard. Keep it. Then bring your reports to another platform. Most people love to use a PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, yeah, Chidozie is Excel 2021. Please, what determines the KPI that are included in the analysis? What determines the KPI is the key objective of the whole project. So, for example, the client says they want to check conversion rates. So the conversion rate there becomes the KPI. If they want to check attrition, the numbers there become the KPI. If they want to visit financial data and they want to check maybe the total sales or the return on investment, this comes as a KPI. Do you mean the chart title? Chart title is better known on top. Okay, yeah. So if it is a chart title, you can put it anywhere, but preferably on top of the chart. Okay, no, not chart title. I mean interpretation and recommendation of the data given. Yeah, so that's where we're getting into now, and that's what I said earlier. It's better put it in a differentiate. Put in a recommendation, and okay. So let's continue with discussion number 4. We just have this 8 o'clock. Please, I'll plead I'll add more like just 15 minutes. Let me get through with this so that we don't extend it to another class, because next Sunday we have another topic I want to handle. Okay, so discussion number 4 is presentation, and like I said, this is the key of today's discussion. Now, so you need to learn the secret of delivering data-driven presentations that captivate and convince. Now, one of the first things you should understand in presentation is you're presenting to business executives. 99.9% of the time you're presenting your data, whether it's an NGO or a government or an institution or a business, or you're presenting to people in management leadership position. And a lot of them, they are driven by business, meaning what is in, what is out, part-time. So before talking about presentation, you must understand the 8 elements of business. So the 8 things that drive every business owner. If your dashboard does not answer any of these, the business owner may not listen or take action. So the dashboard or your entire analysis is not to show what you can do. Do you get? Is to get the business owner to take an action. Please, if you don't get anything to get this part, that the dashboard, the essence of the dashboard is not to show the analysis. Do you get? The essence of the dashboard, the most important thing is to get the business owner or the team or the persons you're presenting to take an action. If they don't take an action, to an extent, you have not really done the full work. Are we together? So what can I do? What can you do as a data analyst to help them to take action? And so these are business owners. These are people, these are leaders, these are managers, and they are very conscious. There are certain things that drive these persons, and we'll look at it from the business side. It does not mean that you should go study business, but at least if you have this business understanding to help you when designing your dashboard or making your presentation. Number 1 is ownership. Every business owner loves anything that will help them to own. Like sometimes the first to do something or to own something. For example, if you talk about Elon Musk, he owns, he started Tesla, he owns electric vehicle, he owns this. If you mention business owners, you see they love these things that they own. So something that will help them own. Another thing again, anything that will help them to grow. So a business would, there's no, I've not, let me not say I've not, but carefully, there's no business I think that the business is looking towards a situation where the business will fail or fall. Every business is looking at growth. Number 3, every business is looking at brand promotion. The dashboard you're presenting, the analysis, will it help the business to promote their brand? Will it help the business to grow? That is the mindset of a business owner. Number 4 is fear. Every business owner, there is a fear. There's a fearful part that if your dashboard triggers that fear, they will quickly take action. Every business owner is conscious of time. That is easy, it's not complicated, it's to save time. Every business owner is conscious of relationship. That's doing this, following these steps will help them to open doors, that they will meet more persons and they will get to know more persons. Then the last 2, every business owner is interested in profit. That if I follow this method in your dashboard, in your analysis, will it lead to profit? If it is yes, the business owner will take action. And loss too, if I follow this business, it will help me to reduce loss or cut losses in the business. If your dashboard is in that line, the business owner will take action. These 8 things should be in your mind. That means the entire dashboard that you design must answer at least one of these. You can answer 2, 3, 4, 5, but at least one. You must be conscious. Which one will my dashboard help the business owner to answer? If we don't do this, if we just come, if as data analysts we just come to present, this person made this sales, this person made this sales, this person did this. No, at that point, I call it Excel users. You're doing what an Excel user can do. But the difference between we that are professionals and the general, let's say the entry level, you get people that are just beginning, is that we understand business, we understand the business owner to the point that whatever analysis we're doing is driven towards one of these. Okay, having settled that, the next thing now is to look at the main things. What and what should I include in my presentation? I've seen lots of persons do presentation, and when they make presentation, they start with, let me use this as an example. Let me use, I'll reduce this later. So they start with this and they begin to slice. And the entire data we had, and this is a presentation. Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, sir. In this entire data, we had 225 numbers, and out of the 225, we have 100 sales and 125% spending, leading to an attrition rate of 44.4%. If this is your first sentence, the business owner will stand up and leave the room, or he will bring out his phone and he will, yes, continue, and he's pressing his phone, meaning you're wasting his time. Meaning this information, he has it already. Meaning this information, one simple Excel user in the office or a simple data entry person can provide this same information. You have not triggered anything. You have not given him a reason to take any action. So it's just as basic as ordinary information. And that is what a lot of data analysts do. I've been in an interview where the person started telling us about, we have technical presentation and business presentation. The person did a technical presentation. And we said, no, you don't do that to a business owner. What I mean by technical presentation, you now explain the analysis process, for example. We extracted this data from the database, and then we took it to SQL, and we wrote some queries, and we came up with this, and we had to import it to Power BI or Tableau, and in Power BI we wrote DAX. No. That is the worst thing that can happen. That is not a business presentation. That is a technical presentation. So the question is, what is the correct format for a presentation? Now, from my experience, and I can tell you this is one of the best, you can ask anybody anywhere, this is the format for your presentation. I listed them as 7. The first thing in your presentation should be the action. What action do you want the business owner to take? That should be it should be a sentence. A sentence, not complicated, not too many grammar, not just a sentence. Hello, sir. If you take this action, it will lead to, if you increase production in this particular area, it will lead to sales in this particular, it will lead to profit, to lead to this. An action. What action do you want the business owner to take? Number 2 is the indicator. Now, the key performance indicator, the most important KPI that will back up the action that you're proposing, you must state it at that point. Then number 3 is the questions, what I normally call the hypothesis. So when we're working on the project, we call them problem statements, or the problem we want to solve, or the issues that the business owner raised. Now, when the business owner raised those issues and gives to you as the analyst, you don't return it to them. Instead, from those questions, you build what is called hypothesis. You begin to ask yourself why. Because most times, what I've seen people do is they ask the question what, so they just submit what, and they don't ask why. For example, the conversion rate for this particular data, sales data, is 44.4. That is what happened. The question there will now be, why is it 44.4? Why is it lower than 50? Are we together? Then the answer, which is number 4, okay, instead of 44.4, can we increase it to 81.8? If yes, how? Are we together? Then the recommendation is, now you list the basic steps, then you give room for discussion, and then conclusion. Okay, so let's make it a little practical. I'll go to PowerPoint and I'll show us how to build this. Before we go to PowerPoint, let me pause for questions, please. You questions, 1 or 2 questions. You can quickly ask your questions. Let me set up. Let's go to PowerPoint. Your questions, please. Okay, no question. So any question? Okay, so now how should my presentation, what format should I follow for my presentation? So let's go. I'm using PowerPoint. There are different softwares or applications you can use. Even some person, I've seen somebody use Canva before for something like this. You can use Canva. You can use there's this software that people in UI UX they use. You can use that. There are lots of examples. You can use any of them. Is it a must? Please 1 minute. Let me answer this question. Strategic. Okay. Is it a must to have the action first? Yes, it is a must. Because business owner, they call it, we've heard of the story of, they tell you to pitch. Maybe you're in an elevator with a business owner, and the first sentence, your first sentence should trigger something. When I teach people in sales, I also handle sales and marketing classes. when I teach people in sales, we have this thing called AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. So that attention, in a way, is something to get the person's attention. So what we do now, that action at the end, as data analysts, we bring the action to the first position. Something that will make the business owner sit through the discussion. Something that will hook him from the beginning and make him to act immediately. Okay. Do we make recommendation before conclusion or conclusion before recommendation? We make recommendation before conclusion. Recommendation is based on all these things I have done. What are the things you should do? Then the conclusion comes at the end. Yes, IADA. Yes, IADA stands for attention, interests, desire, and action. It's for those with marketing or sales background. They understand this very well. Okay, so let's get to the let's get to PowerPoint now. Let's look at this presentation. So I want to start. Now, this is me. I'm before you're the owners of the business. The name of the company is 44 Underwood Properties. It's a real estate company, and they want me to analyze their sales performance for the month of August 2023. And their strategy is that it should always be above average, which is 50. So I have done the analysis, and it is me with the board meeting. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for giving my team and I the opportunity to look at your data and work on it. Now, before now, you wanted us to work on just the sales, but we looked beyond that. So this is where I want to start the presentation, that we need to review our sales system. So I'll be doing in and out so that we understand it and save time. That we need to review our sales system is the action. That's the action I want them to take. Being that over time, even when they invited me to come and analyze the stuff, they have been, the analysis, they based it on the performance of the staff, the 6 staff. So that system is not correct. The whole summary of my report is about system. So you notice that I changed the color whenever I mention the word system. And from the beginning up through, everywhere you see me mentioning system. So the summary of my presentation, my storyboard is titled system. So everything we're looking at is system. We want them to build a system. So that's the action we want them to take. By the end of this presentation, we want them to build a system around sales instead of evaluating their sales based on the performance of the salespeople. Instead, let it be an evaluation based on the system. Those that are in business really understand this and appreciate it more. So the opening gambit, the opening sentence for us was, we need to review our sales system. That is the action. Then the next one, which is the KPI. You can see the KPI. The KPI is a combination of this write-up and this chart. Last month, which is August 2023, our sales performance reduced to 44.4. I have just sold fear. I have just sold the fact that the business is running at a loss. So if they keep doing what they are doing, the business may likely experience loss. And no business owner will want to experience loss. At this point, the business owner have gotten his attention. So let me ask us, so it won't be as if I'm just picking up words. Did I get your attention if I open it this way? Assuming you're the owner of the business, this is my first sentence. That's, hello, sir, hello, madam. We need to review our sales system because last month, our sales performance reduced to 44.4%. Please answer yes or no, just in the comment section. Did I get your attention? As a business owner, will you want me to continue this presentation, yes or no? Okay, Vivian Joko said yes. Austin Bay said yes, you did get my attention. Okay. Ibrahim said yes. Okay, thank you. And if you think it is no, please type no. We will not send you out of the class. So, okay, so Emeka Cookie said yes. Accounting analyst said, hey, thank you. Okay, accounting analyst said not really. So, okay, please, can you share with us? Not really. So, accounting analytics, in 1 second, can you share with us the not really parts? Okay, why that is coming up? I'm looking at this from this other point. Let's continue. So, this is the first part. We've just outlined the action, and the KPI, the key KPI, which is last month. Then I'll proceed with the next part of the discussion now, which is the key finding from the analysis. Our comprehensive analysis indicates that the observed outcome was not directly dependent on the sales team's activities. Instead, it is intricately connected to various factors that collectively constitute our current sales system. The interplay of these elements significantly influences the overall performance, unveiling a broader perspective beyond the direct influence of the sales team. So this second part we were saying, which is something we knew before now, that they based their analysis on the sales team. We said the sales, the performance is not so much as a result of the sales team, but because of an error in the system. That is why we want them to review the system. And we now brought up the third part, which is our projected sales growth, that based on our projections, this enhanced system is anticipated to drive a remarkable 81.8 increase in sales. Meaning, if you follow this idea of working on systems, which we're introducing, instead of focusing on the individual performance, you will increase sales to 81.8%. By the end of this discussion, if you wait through the presentation, I'll show you how these same salespeople that produce 44, if we fine-tune the system, they will produce 81.8. Now you can see that the presentation so far, I've not touched Excel. I've not talked about whether I use Power Query or data. No, everything up to this point is business presentation. We're talking about business. Then we proceed. So what are the hypotheses, the three questions? One, I'll keep this material for you to download. I'll keep it for free. It's part of my course, the new course I just told us. In the course, I'll teach how to build all this, but I'll keep this on so you can download. Let me not read all so that it doesn't take time. I told them that so three questions we need to ask. Number one, why is the average performance 44.4? Two, why is individual performance, why do we have this variability in individual performance? The margin, one person is 71.4 and another person is 22.7. The margin is too wide. Why do we have this margin? Then number three, which you will call recommendation, what can we do to optimize our rate from 44.1 to 81.8? So this third part is more like the recommendation. Now, so let's go with the first hypothesis. Now, in the first hypothesis, which is why is the conversion rate 44.4? I told them that the current average conversion rates 44 prompts a thorough examination. Our analysis aims to uncover the elements shaping this, and we discovered three things. Number one, we discovered there was an issue with gender, which is one of the factors that we should be conscious of. That when you slice the data through male, you have a 72% conversion rate. But when you slice it through female, you have a 21.8, meaning for every 10 male, 7 will buy. For every 10 female, also 2 or 3 will buy. And if you check the total numbers here, the business in the sales, in the marketing, maybe when they did the advert on Facebook or something, they marketed more to females than males. And in our analysis, we discovered that it is males that buy, not female. So this is one of the reasons why they had low performance, number one. Number two, reason why they had low performance is because of the products. There's one product here called Industrial that did not produce one sale, yet about 22. And another product that's out of every 10, only about 3 or 4 buy. They had 104 of it. Instead, then where they have more sales, higher conversion of 64, that is 6 out of every 10, only 99. So they had a very low number of persons that came in for residential. So that is another reason why they have low sales. First one, males. 2, residential. Then the third one, which is inspection. You know, in real estate, people go for inspection to go see the property. Now, for those that, we discovered that those that go for inspection, the probability that they will buy out of every 10 is 5. And those that don't go, out of every 10 is only 1. So how to make more persons go for inspection? These are the 3 things. There are other factors, like I told us in the entire data, but for our study, these are the 3 things that are responsible for the 44.4, not the staff. Is because of these things. So that's the first question. We have answered the first question. The second question is, so why do we have one staff 22.7, another staff 71.4? And when we looked through the data, I'm trying to run through it very fast. Now, the person that had, Ahmed, that had 22.4, if we check 22.7, they gave him 22 clients. The entire 22 were all females. It did not have any male. So there's imbalance in the distribution of data. That's one of the first things we have noted. Because if you compare him to another person, to Ngozi that is very close to him, he had 22. His conversion rate was, he had 22 customers. His conversion rate was 22.7. Ngozi had 21 customers. Her conversion rate was 71.4. If you check why she had this good conversion rate, check the number of males. She had higher number of males compared to females. So there is an issue called the issue of distribution of the phone numbers. And why we can say Ahmed is not really a bad person. If you check in this particular conversion of product, Ahmed had a 100% conversion rate in a particular product where others, even Ngozi that is the best, had 66.7. So why this difference between performance is because of the distribution. And if we go to check the data further, we'll discover that there is a relationship between male and sales, people that went for inspection and sales, and product and sales. So with these two things, we have answered the first two questions. I'm trying to rush through. Then the last one, which we call recommendation. So I did not just type recommendation. I place it as one of the questions. What can we do to increase conversion rate from 44.81 from 44 to 81? So I'll show us three things, then I'll go to this is where I'll now call up Excel just to show them one or two things. So let me just, because of the software I'm using, let me finish with PowerPoint, then I switch to Excel. So the system that we're saying they should create is one. Create a system where the numbers are distributed equally. So if we check here, for example, like you see, somebody had 49 and somebody had 22 phone numbers. No, they should have equal distribution. And the ratio of male to female should be equal. So that's what we mean by equal distribution. The ads, they should target more of males. That is when they are doing their adverts. And then they can give discount, that if a male comes in, that they can give discount to their wives or for the females. And they should sponsor male-dominated events. They should reward people that go for inspection. So that means they should encourage people that go for inspection. Then the last part, which is the most interesting part, is whenever they are training their sales team should focus. If somebody says is interested, they should ask the person. They should try and understand, is the person a male or a female? If the person is a male, that person is a high target. If the person says he's interested in residential area, is a high target. If the person says he will go for inspection, is a high target. There's a probability that 8 out of 10 people that agree to these three things will buy. So the sales team should focus more on selling to these persons. That's the recommendation. Then the discussion will come, the questions. So the part that we want to add for us to complete this presentation part is where we now go back to Excel, the software. Let's say you're using Python or Excel or Tableau or Power BI, any of these platforms you're using for your presentation. This is where you call up the platform, now then you do the presentation. So let me quickly do that. Now you can see please pay attention to this. The conversion rate is 44.4. Now, if we slice through male, it increases to 72.3, meaning if they have more males interested in the product. If you get the males to go for inspection, it increases to 80.5. And if you get people that are interested in residential properties, it increases to 81.8. This is the system we're talking about. So this is in its simplest form, how this presentation is. So like we say in debate, I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that structure your presentation with respect to the business owner. Please, we'll take one or two questions before we go to the last part of today's discussion. Any question? Okay, yes. Okay, Amara said, because I already know we need to review our system. That's why I hired you. Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. And then somebody said, Sunday Yusuf said, I also appreciate your use of we. It shows you identify with the organization. Okay, yeah. And facial expression said, when reporting or presenting your data, is it advisable to use the word "are" or "your" when referring to the organization you're doing the presentation for. It's optional. It depends on your relationship with the system. Do you get? For me, I indirectly I was trying to be part of the system, so I placed myself in a position where they would think I'm already part of the system. So by the time I presented my next proposal of the retainership, it was not strange. I was during the presentation, I already sounded as if I'm part of the team. So it's not a right or wrong, it's not a yes or no. It depends on how you flow with the system. Okay. Mr. Austin, thank you. Mrs. Vivian, thank you. Very interesting presentation. Thank you. So let's get to the last part of our discussion for today. I know we need to rest. Some of us are resuming work tomorrow. And tomorrow too, I also have a class starting tomorrow. Okay, now the last part of our discussion is where we talk about the skills. The skills. So in this part, I want to say something that a lot of persons focus more on the tools. They talk more about the tools instead of talking about the skills. Data analytics is not about Excel or Power BI or Python or MATLAB, do you get, or SPSS. It's about the skill. It's a skill set. So please don't focus on the tools. Learn the tools. Be the best when it comes to using the tools. But you must understand that there are other things you must know as a data analyst. And these are some of the things you may not learn in school. You need to build them. You need to learn them. Some schools may teach them too, but you need to learn them also. I listed about 10 of them. Some places it can be less than, some places can be more than. But let me quickly mention the 10. I've mentioned the tools already. There are many tools. If you're good in Excel, no problem. Power BI, the core tools, let me also mention too, at least Excel. Most of us know this guy called Alex. He's on YouTube. He's a bit popular. Then the owner of Code Basics. I think last week, the owner of Code Basics, Alex, and one other person did videos about 2024, what they will do as data analysts. And Alex said something that he will give 100% attention to Excel and 75%. No, he said the usage, not give attention, the usage for Excel is more like 100%, and then SQL is like 75%. So when I tell people that even if you know how to use Python, learn Excel. Excel has, when it comes to usage, Excel has global usage, and it gives you a better understanding of your data. Are we together? So I would recommend in terms of visuals, learn Power BI or Tableau. In terms of manipulating data, SQL, Excel. Then in terms of programming, Python. These are 3 I would recommend. There are other ones, you can follow them. Then let's get to the tools. So the tools, I listed 10 basic tools you should use. You should be good at as 10 basic skills. Sorry, you should be good at as a data analyst. Number 1 is statistical analysis. Please understand the basics of statistics. Yes, Ruth said Alex the analyst. Yes, thank you. Yes, that's Alex. If you check he did a video within last week or so. He talked about 2024, what you should do, how to plan afresh as a data analyst, what steps to take. I shared it with members in my community. Okay, so the first this is not in any order. So 1 skill you should learn is statistics. At least learn the basics. Now Excel makes it easy. You can click buttons and it will do a lot for you. Learn the measures of central tendency and, for example, the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and others. And then learn maybe correlation and regression. These are the basic. They are not complicated. Just learn them. It will help you in analyzing data. Number 2, learn data cleaning and manipulation. We call it extract, transform, and load. Learn to clean data. It's a must. You must clean data. Number 3, learn to interpret data. You saw what we just did now, that we did not just focus on the performance of the sales team, but we saw something else from the data set. So you must learn to interpret data. Then number 4, you must learn visuals. Visuals include your dashboard and your charts. Know which charts to use per time and how to organize your dashboard. When I started out, I took lots of classes when it comes to dashboard design, when it comes to charts. I had to understand it very well because I have this understanding that first impression counts. So there's a way you bring up your dashboard and the business owner will be, wow. Do you get that first wow? Without saying anything, just the wow. You got the person's attention. And there's when you bring up the dashboard and somebody say, what is this? As in, who made this? So to an extent, your technical competence You get right on the ability to come up with good visuals. It's a good thing. Then number 5, critical thinking and problem solving, meaning look out for, learn to ask why, learn to ask questions why, and then see how you can bring up solutions. Then number 6 is the business acumen. I mentioned it earlier. Understand business. That business has to do with there's a finance, there's a sales, there's a customer service, there's a operations, there's production. Do you get understand what drives a business? It could be growth, it could be fear, it could be profit, it could be loss, it could be other things. These factors, you must understand it so that you know how to talk to executives. Then you must also be good with communication skills, both written and verbal. So when you do your documentation, when you arrange it, when you package it, you get. Let me also mention, when doing your presentation, please don't do a lot of write-ups. Your chat should do the talking for you. Then domain knowledge. Yes, at least be very good in one domain. At least it could be health, it could be sales, it could be finance. For me, I'm very good with sales. You get, that's my domain. So it could be attrition, it could be one area. So have general knowledge, but be very good in one area. Now, when you're talking about a business, maybe a client gives you a job to do, and let's say they're into bottled water, for example. Now have knowledge about that bottled water. Do a research about that industry, that domain, that particular product. It will aid you in your presentation. So because there are some questions they will ask you that is not part of your data or your presentation, but it's part of their business, their domain. When you can't answer, it sounds like you're not interested in their business. You're just here to do your analysis and then go. So have that domain knowledge. Then the next one is you must know how to sell. So I tell people in my class that we have best sellers. We don't have best authors. Because we have movies that have, this lady just did a movie, I think Tribe of Judah or something. She's not the best actor or actress in a Nollywood, but her movie just crossed 1 billion or so. She did very well. Do you get? And see the accolades. Now, so people, what sells is your ability to sell is as important as your ability to analyze data. Meaning you must learn to sell yourself. Like this particular job, I was asked to do this, but I knew that if I go beyond, that is my way of selling, they will give me another job. That is how I got that retainership with them. So you must learn to sell. Another way to sell is, for example, your LinkedIn. Learn to push your products on LinkedIn, push your project. You're doing a simple analysis that just has to do with A and B. Finish that A and B, do a, do a write-up on it and put on LinkedIn and explain, just explain. People love it. People love to see your growth. I checked Emeka Nobi's wall. Emeka Nobi is popular on Facebook. You can search him. I checked Emeka Nobi's wall, and I saw that he did something about his expenses within January and 1st, 2nd, and 3rd January. And I told a member in my team, go and take that particular data, analyze it, and send it to Emeka Nobi's. That's selling. Do you get it there? I'm going to tell you, you can go and pick it up. Just pick up that data and do it and sell. Emeka Nobi's is popular. It has more than 120,000 followers on Facebook. If you do that project and send to Emeka Nobi's, and he looks at it and it's nice and it's interesting, he can do 2 things. 1, he would likely post your work on his page. That is free publicity. Or 2, he will ask you to come be his analyst, analyze and give him further advice and data. That's a selling opportunity. Are we together? So learn to sell yourself, sell your skill, make noise. I tell people that I try to post 10 every day on my social platform. That is selling, because no matter what I know, I can't just sit down and then talk about it. This I'm doing now is also selling. So if you ask me one core skills amongst these 10 that I would say spend more time with as you're growing, also spend time, is your ability to sell, the ability to tell somebody that you can do it. You can also walk up to a company. You can walk up to a school. I started with a school. I walked up to a school and I told them I can analyze their data. That's how I started in Port Harcourt. So you can also walk up to a school and walk up to a company in your area. It could be a simple shop, maybe just a supermarket, and then start there. Or you can go global, take on remote jobs, apply for jobs. And when you're doing the application, actually you're selling. And one of the things that will help you in your selling is what is called your portfolio. Nobody will want to give you a job when they can't see what you have done. Do you get? And your portfolio also helps to cover up for your years of experience. So I've seen a lot of people, entry-level data analysts, have jobs. So when it comes to that years of experience, if you have a portfolio, the company will overlook, some companies will overlook the fact that you don't have years of experience, and they will look at the fact that you've completed key projects. So take on key projects and complete this. One of these websites for key projects is Kaggle. Then the last one is the tool, which I've mentioned here. Learn the tools, learn to use the tool very well. I've mentioned the tools that I use. I use Excel, I use Power BI, I use SQL, I use Python. Do you get? And throughout this year, I'll be building video courses on these different tools. Excel is the interest for now. So thank you so much. It's been a very interesting class, a long class. I'll take questions before we go. But before you go, please remember, I said visit my, before I get to the question section, two things I want you to do. Number one, please, if you have, if this is your first time, click the subscribe button. Go to the comment section and then ask your questions and then give suggestion of the next topic. Sunday, there's a class, and my team and I were thinking of the topic to build. So you can drop your suggestion, which topic you want us to handle for the next class for throughout the month of January. Then that's one of the things I want you to do. Please subscribe to the channel. And then number two is you can share the experience in class today, share it on your different social platforms. That's one of the ways I benefit from this too, that I get to, you help to mention that I can do this and I can do that in different platforms. Then the third one is you can also buy the course. Like I said, the course is discounted to 7,500. So imagine with 7,500 and then the topics. We covered from the basics of Excel. I covered some of Excel functions and formulas for beginners. Then I talked about the entire data analytics process and data preparation, then how to extract, transform, and load, which is more like data cleaning. I talked about data modeling and then data analysis, how to gain insights and then gain findings, and then how to do visuals and then build this dashboard. Then documentation, how to use, start documenting on LinkedIn and then other platforms, and then how to post articles on LinkedIn, not just ordinary posts. Then how to do presentation techniques, which we covered today. I also talked about how to use basics of PowerPoint. I covered a little of PowerPoint. And then how to set up your portfolio, whether you're using a free website or using a paid website. So these are the topics I covered in this particular course. The link to the course, I've added it, and it is there again. I will encourage you to, immediately after this course, don't think about it too much. Sometimes when you think too much, you might say, okay, I have other responsibilities, and you begin to bring up other things. But you can buy this course and then you enjoy it. So thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, let's take questions. Questions now. Questions, closing questions. In the next 5 minutes, we will be closing for today. Okay, so accounting analysis said, I like your presentation strategy, thank you. But perhaps you could begin by highlighting the most intriguing insights and use storytelling to convey these insights. Wow, I thought that's what we did when we said the 44.4, and then we went further to say the whole idea of the performance is a function of system, not employee. Thank you for the insights. Okay. The next one, if I miss your question, just draw my attention to it. The next one is, do you mean one should, okay, do you mean one should, Vivian Joko said, do you mean one should understand the process, not just the tools? Yes, ma'am, not just the tools. Understanding Python, just learn how to use Python, no. Just learn how to use Excel, no. There's a whole, there's a lot going on in data analytics, and I've sat in presentation, and when I hear somebody that just knows how to use Python come to present, and somebody that understands business and Python come to present, it's easy to tell between the two of them. This one will be so technical. The person that is Python will just be giving you technical information, and business owners, they are not interested. When I mean not interested, zero interest in anything technical. They just want easy business information because that's what they understand. Okay, I want to learn SQL from Alex. How good Abi is good. Alex is very good. Alex is top notch. Your screen is not showing. Wow. Oh, my apologies. Which parts? Okay. Okay. Emeka Nobis the Don. Yes, this is Emeka Nobis. You can follow him on Facebook. I think he's very popular on Facebook. I respect him a lot. I give him cap every day. He did not ask me to do this. I'm doing it behind his back. Okay. Ruth Ikiriko said everything is marketing and marketing is everything. I agree with Madam Ruth. Marketing and sales. As a data analyst, nobody will come to you. That's one thing people think. People think that, okay, as a data analyst, people will come to me. It happens. 1 in like 100, 1 in like 10. It happens. I'm not saying it can't happen. But majority of the times, it is what you put out there that people will see and then be attracted. So it's like Gary V call it the jab jack hook formula, meaning give something and then hook the person. You know, like if you go for fishing, you put worm or something. So that's a way to attract the fish. And that's the principle. You give out information, market yourself. Austin Bayer says, shameless marketing. Yeah, there's a topic called shameless marketing by Emeka Nobis. Please hit the subscribe. Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Please hit the subscribe button. Yes, please hit the like button. Mr. Austin, thank you. Mr. Chidoze, thank you. Share your experience on your different social media platforms. Yes, please share every project you work on. Share. Don't wait for data sets. Build data sets. Great section. Accounting analytics. Thank you very much. Some of the key questions you brought up, accounting analytics, I promise I'll look into them. I'll discuss with my team. They're also here and we'll fine tune and improve based on your suggestion. Learning is always continuous. Thank you. Thank you so much for a great section. That's from Amara and then from Ibrahim. This is it. Thank you. The chat seems not to be well aligned. Is it allowed? Okay, Mr. Oduawobon, the chat, if you check, the initial part when we talked about the arrangement of the, what is it called? The structure. We try to make them in lines so that they flow together. Okay. Is the course a video course? Yes, it's a video course. Now, interestingly, thank you for mentioning that. Aside the buying the course, immediately you buy the course, you have access to my community. I have a community. You have access to the community. The community, as you're working through your project, you get to share with others, and so there's that collective effect. And it's good when you're learning in the midst of other learners. It helps to increase your pace. It helps to like a check, like a balance. That's one. Two is I have what I did again is I have this meeting with the community. At least we try to meet once every week. This is part of the meeting, for example. So we keep building. The idea is we build together. We're responsible for each other. Okay. Kuriko said, thank you. This is a great section. Thank you. Please, if you got value from this, remember to share it with others. Invite others to our next class next Sunday. Somebody said I'm struggling with creating good visuals for a Power BI dashboard for someone with zero design skills. Can you suggest how I can improve? One of the ways to improve, there's one thing called copying. When we were in school, we were taught that copying is a bad thing. In business, in real world, copying is not a bad thing. So what I do, for me, I'll share it here. I go to Google and I type creative dashboard. Just go to Google and type creative dashboard. That's what I do. Now, when I do that, when I type creative dashboard or creative dashboard design or current dashboard, Google will give me a list of global designs. I want my dashboard. If somebody comes out from Harvard, somebody's in UK, somebody's in France, and I'm in Nigeria, and they bring their dashboard and I bring my dashboard. Somebody should look at my dashboard and say it is better. And get this, people is it designed first before they get into the technical details in the dashboard. So for me, I do a lot of looking at Google, looking at what is obtainable, look at what people design, look at what is and what is not. Then from there, I try to replicate it using the particular tool. So that's what I would recommend. One is to look at others, you get creative designs, then try to replicate it. That's number one. Then two, practice. There are some videos on video tutorials on YouTube. You can check I've done a video tutorial on a full sales work, and I did dashboard design in that. So you can check tutorials on it. Okay, please let me know how to register for a one-on-one class. Okay, you can chat with me directly. I'll drop my WhatsApp number. Let me do that. You can chat with me directly on WhatsApp for a one-on-one class. So you can do that later. And let me finish with this. Okay, I'll just take 2 more questions and then we close for today. Thanks for your patience. Okay, I've just dropped my WhatsApp number. You can chat me on WhatsApp for a one-on-one. I'm struggling with, okay. You have not completed the LinkedIn lecture. Is it the one we did last? Was it 23rd, the weekend before Christmas? We covered it to a point. We did, I think, 5 out of the 10. Thanks for bringing that up. The tools is a means to an end. What the management wants. Okay. What the management wants to hear is how this analysis will increase revenue, profits, or reduce costs. Accounting Analytics Academy, thank you for that. We're seeing the dashboard. Thank you. Tell your friends to follow Mr. Etuk. He is doing a great job. Thank you, Mr. Connect with J. Tony. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you, everybody. I was just wondering how much impact of understanding mathematics have on data analytics. What do you think? Does mathematics give you an advantage? Yes, it gives you an advantage, but it is not a determinant. No, I can say that outright. It's not that it will give you an advantage, but 90% of data analysts don't have mathematics background. Some of them don't have even computing background. That's one good thing. Thank you for the insights. Okay, so on this note, I want to say thank you, everybody, and thank you so much. I thank you for your patience. It was a very long class. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and have a good night. Remember to share this video. Please share this video. Copy the link. Share it with others that they can watch, even with your team. Share it. And we'll see you in the next class. We're meeting next Sunday, same time. Thank you, and good night.